Hello. Hello, everybody. Okay, back feed. Uh-oh. Sorry, that was weird. Oh, I got 2 mics happening. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Um, okay. Nope. Okay, we have a little tech issue. Give me a minute. Is that working? I hope that's working. Okay, so we're currently having a little audio issue. Um, hey, Mike, can you come out to the garage? 'Cause I can't fix this. Sorry, guys. I have this really back feed, and I'm hearing myself. Um, I don't know how to fix it. You can? Okay, so the problem is I'm hearing myself and I can't talk. All right. Testing, testing. Oh, is it working now? Okay. Am I talking now? Oh, I can, it's fine. See, it's back feed. Sorry, guys. Give us just a minute. Go to audio. There it is. Testing. Okay, this is interesting because what? Oh, that's easy. Okay. Hope you guys can hear us talk. Okay. Um, let's see if that fixed it. Can you guys hear me all right? Is it garbled still? Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it's still garbled. It's perfect now? Better? Okay. Good. I don't know what happened. I've never had that happen. I was panicking. Okay. 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 Let's reset. Okay. I have no idea what just caused that to happen. So I was like 1 minute late to the live because it was saying there was no storage in our stream system. And I was like worried that this wouldn't record and then I wouldn't be able to put it in the VIP for all of our VIPers. Okay. So now that we have experienced that lovely little tech trauma, we will jump into our live today. How are you guys doing? How are you liking day two of day two, right? Yes, day two of the Cricut Graphics. Y'all, when I run these events, I'm telling you, I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what my name is. There's a lot going on. Hosting 55,000 people is a lot. But I love being here with you guys. Loving it so much. Okay, you're loving it. I'm glad you're loving it. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, so today is a really simple live. I'm going to go over just some of my favorite design space like tricks and tips. There's obviously been some changes to design space lately, and if there's questions that come up, we can cover those too. I've been working in design space for well since the software came out. I actually started with the expressions machine from like gosh, was it 2010, 20 or 2009? So I actually used the machines back when there were still cartridges before Design Space existed. And then when they came out with these floor models, I transitioned into Design Space and um, learned the software from there. And of course, the software has evolved tenfold in the last, oh my gosh, 15 years. Yeah. Wow. Wow. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. So I guess I've been 15 years in the cricket. Wow. Okay. Sorry. That just landed for me fully. I before was like, it's been 10 years. No, it's not. Actually, it's 2026. Did you know that? So it's more like 16 years. Dang, that's like a whole child. That's like a whole age of a whole child. That's like a lot of information landing in my brain. Okay, you guys. All right. So, oh, I actually think we know what was causing the problem. Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. All right. All right. Okay, we're gonna dive into Design Space, and I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks. Okay, let me share my screen. Present, share screen, entire screen, share. All right. Uh, well, let me know if you can still hear and see me, okay? I cannot hear or see you because let me pull it up on my phone because then I can actually engage with you guys. It makes it so much easier. Let me pull it up because I am doing this a little differently today. I'm being out in my garage, and I haven't moved. For those of you who are following my journey, I have not moved yet. This is just my garage office. Um, so I'm gonna pull this up in real time. There we go. All right. Yay! There we go. Okay, now I can actually see comments next to me in real time. Yay! Okay, and I want to talk about some things in Design Space. So first, there's been a lot of changes to Design Space. I just want to call out what that one, like kind of, or actually two big changes that have happened recently in Design Space. And I also want to note that I am in beta mode. Okay, so if for any reason your design still looks a little bit different than this, it might be that you're in live mode. And if you look under your profile when you're like logged in and you're on the canvas, if you look under your profile and you look at settings, okay, there is under application experience, there's a beta mode and a live mode. So the live mode is like technically what everybody should be in. But then if you want to test new features, there's the beta mode. I always work in beta mode because I try to be aware of what's coming in the future. And so that said, the other reason I love working in beta mode, or at least being aware that there is a beta mode versus a live mode, is that if there is a bug in one of these modes, which we experience a lot, let's be honest, you can switch in and out of beta versus live, and oftentimes a bug that is in one version is not in the other version. So if you're experiencing something like my design space is not connecting to my iPad, or fill in the blank, whatever it might be, and it's something that's frustrating that just wasn't there before, try coming up to your settings and switching from beta to live mode. You can also check for updates here, which I'm not going to do now because it would reset my design space and it would restart it. But I like to call this out because it's very helpful if you're dealing with bugs. Okay, let me take a look, see where we're at here. Can't hear me. Audio's fading in and out. Okay, let me see. There's double studios open here, so I'm wondering if that was the problem. Let me know if that fixed it. It may not have fixed it, but I hope it did fix it. Hi, can't hear now. Can hear. Okay. Let me know if that fixed it, you guys. We're trying. We're trying. Let me know if you can hear me now. Much better. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. There was two dual windows open, so I'm thinking that's where the echo was coming from earlier. For those of you guys who were here during that little tech trouble, let's hope that it's good. All right. I'm going to carry on, and I will look down to try to make sure that I don't lose y'all. Also, let me pull up. I want to pull up my list of tricks because I'm sharing my screen. I did not come overly prepared. As you can tell, I'm usually much more prepared than this. But it has been one heck of a day. There has been a lot going on. All right, I got it now. So we talked about beta versus live mode. Let's talk about tabs, okay? So what you may not know about Design Space is that you can actually have multiple Design Space windows open at one time. And this is really cool because you can be designing in one window while cutting in another window. Or if you're a crazy person like me and you have multiple cutting machines, you can actually be cutting on multiple machines all at the same time with different windows, okay? So the way you can do this is go, when you have your design space open, this is your home screen, right? Nope, that's not your home screen. Hang on. Gosh, I hate when they do this. Hang on one second. Oh, I think this is blocking it. No, it's not. This would be an example of a new rollout where even I'm like, why can't I find my way around? I can't click back. Okay, so if you're on your home screen, you can get to the canvas by clicking new project. I don't know why that's happening. I'd have to shut my screen down. Or you can click new if you're on the canvas here. But opening up a new canvas is not the same thing as opening up a new window, okay? So when you're on the canvas here, you can come up to the very top where it says File and click New Window. And it's literally going to open up a brand new window. This is what your home screen looks like, by the way. And then you can click on a new project and then blank canvas, okay? And what's really cool is that you can be, you can have this cutting. Let's say I'm cutting these projects out over here. I've gone to the cut screen. It's connected to my machine, and I can be going through the whole cut process. And then I could be designing my next project over here in this window. It's really cool, and I think it's a very useful feature. And the other thing that's cool about this is you can copy and paste between these windows. So let me go back to our chat here. You can copy and paste between these windows. So let's say maybe you're making a variation of a project, or you want to move design elements into the other window. You can click and drag or select any objects here on one canvas, and then you can right click and hit copy, and then come over to the other canvas and you can right click and hit paste, and it will paste it in. Isn't that so cool? This is just one of those little handy things that it's not one of those things you necessarily need all the time, but when you know it's there, it becomes really useful. All right, let me pause for just a minute here and see how we're doing in the chat. Yes, so Susan says you can also hold shift and then click on the Cricut icon and it does the same thing. That's really cool. Yes, so Angela, we did open it twice, but we have two different windows here. So like, for example, I could continue designing in this window. Maybe I add more text or something else here, and then everything is here in a separate project, and I could be cutting over in this window. So hopefully that is helpful for you guys when it comes to like just organization and design. Because I don't know about you guys, but I will literally put this like a ton of designs into one canvas, and I will just like load up on it, and it'll be like a whole hot mess, right? But if you have like the ability to just like paste things, design, then paste things, save the projects, give them proper names, it's a great way to stay organized too. So that's the first little trick I wanted to show you. I also realized I got really distracted and I did not actually go over what some of the changes were in Design Space. So let me talk about that first. Let me backtrack myself here a little bit. So if you're seeing any changes in Design Space, or you're in beta mode like me, a couple things you might see that are different that just recently dropped was when you click and drag over any of your objects here now, you'll see this new little like floating icon bar. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's their word, but that's what I'm calling it. It was coined by me. And right here we have the delete, duplicate, attach, and group or ungroup, depending on the action you take. These are the exact same tools that are available up here at the top of the layers panel, and then the attach tool that is at the bottom of the layers panel. So here's what's happening, and I'm in and out of beta modes a lot, so I can kind of make some predictions. What I believe is happening here is that Design Space is transitioning away from these icons that are sitting at the bottom and the top of the layers panel to our right. And they're now dispersing them in other sections. One of these sections is these like little icon menu here. And another section is this edit. So you might notice that the top has changed a little bit. Some of the options like offset aren't there anymore. And just like the arrange tool is there, but they also have moved them under this edit menu. So anytime you have something selected, you can click edit and this new panel will appear. They're panels, or they're often known as like dialog boxes in like other softwares. If you're used to working in like Inkscape or Illustrator or other things like that, I'll refer to them as panels just because it's a little more panel-like. But my prediction is that all of these things are going to go away over here soon, and they're going to live on the objects or in this edit. Because what we're seeing here is we're seeing weld and unite and subtract and all of these things, and that's what lives over here already at the bottom of the layers panel. So I think they're going to probably either remove these to declutter, or they might be trying to create space to give us new tools in the future. I'm not sure. That's just my prediction. But I wanted to call out those two things, the little icon menu and then the edit, because that's the big key differences. A lot of the other stuff is still similar, but if you're not familiar or you haven't logged in a while, you might look at this and be like, I have no idea. So I wanted to point that out. Let me pause for a minute. Okay. Looking at the chat. Yes, and I know some of us can be frustrated with Design Space. I am a huge advocate of always listening to the market and the customers and that kind of stuff. I try to always do that best in my community. I would definitely not put my opinion out there on, Cricut runs their own business, they do their own thing. I do think that it can be frustrating when things are constantly changing. Like if you wanted to do an update once a year, I think that would be a lot more impactful because it would give people just like one time a year kind of look forward to all these changes and make it more of a fun rollout event. That's just my 2 cents. If you ever want to talk to me, Cricut, I'd be happy to help you with marketing. So all that being said, let's move into some other tricks here. Let me pull my list back up and go to, let's talk about grid next. Okay, so when we look at our canvas here, let me actually open up a new window. Okay, just so I can have like a totally blank canvas for you guys to look at. When we look at our canvas in Design Space, we have this grid that is on the canvas, right? And this is called, what I have right now, it's called a partial grid. But you could actually cycle from partial grid to full grid or no grid. And I mean, you guys, I'm going to be completely straight with you. I don't really pay much attention to the grids because I don't use them that much for alignment purposes. There are ways to use them that are helpful. I personally don't. I'm telling you this more importantly, because if you find the grid background irritating or you wish to change it for any reason, you can. So I want you to look at the 0 by 0 that's right up here at the top left next to like new. This little blank square that sits between the 0 and the 0 margin mark. If you click it once, it will turn totally blank. If you click it again, full grid. If you click it again, partial grid. So you could cycle this to your preference. I think there's a lot of us that like the clean look. So I used to live in this all the time. And then I don't know why I went back to partial grid because it's just like needed some contrast. But that's a really fun trick to know as well, because I think it's helpful sometimes to just have a totally blank space where we don't have that grid intersecting. I find the grid helpful if you really need to like know if like something's transparent and there's like an image sitting on top of the grid and it's like, is there transparency behind it? Do I need to put a back to it or an offset for a sticker or something like that can be super helpful. But I love this feature. I discovered this one several years ago. That's Liberty next to me. I discovered this feature several years ago and I was really happy to get like this clean workspace interface. Okay. Let me pop back over to comments for a minute. I am moderating out here by myself today, so please be patient with me. Okay. Let's see. Jane says, I do this if I only need to print one item for a project. I'll copy that into a different Design Space window and keep doing that until I have a full sheet of print they cut. Okay, so I think she's talking about opening the different windows. That's really cool. Okay, and then we have another person here saying, I struggle seeing all the tools when I click edit. Okay, let's talk about that real quick because that's actually a really good, helpful point. And then I'll move on to my next tip. Okay, we're talking about this edit here. If I were to click on an object on my screen, I'm just picking randomly, right? And click edit. Notice how some of the tools are not there, like the slice, the flatten, the contour, like they're not present right now. They were earlier, but they're not. And that's because these tools will only appear based on what you have selected on your canvas and if the tool functions with that selection. And so I personally, I'm not a huge fan of this update just because I feel like for a beginner, they're not going to know what's available to them if they're not making certain selections on the canvas, right? Hey, Mike, I'm talking to my husband. Can you come out here and get the very loud snoring dog that is next to me? He's being very loud. He's going to come get the dog because I don't know how loud that is for you guys, but it's distracting me. Okay, so circling back to this question, if I were to click and drag over this design, see how all of the tools now appear down here? We've got weld, we've got unite, we've got subtract, all of them are there, right? So with that said, the reason this is happening is because this one here that I select is a flattened print then cut image. You can see it here in my layers panel. But this one that I'm selecting over here is a multi-layered grouped SVG image. If I were to ungroup it, you see all these little different layers we have in here. And because that exists, and there are two different types of cuts, a basic cut versus a print and cut where we're printing on our printer and then Cricut's cutting around it, we're getting different selections. So, and the same would be true if like I were to ungroup this. So if I right click and I ungroup and I click just the heart, see how only like certain ones appear? And then I click this down here. Okay, now contour appears. And then I click this, and then I click this, or maybe I select a couple of them, now more appear. So it's all based on what is selected on your canvas. And I think that I appreciate the flow of what they're trying to create. But I think that in the, like, if I was a beginner, I'd want to be able to see the tools that I have available to me without having to know that I have to select something. That's just my personal take on it. But I wanted to clarify that for you guys. Okay, let's talk. Let me answer this question. Christopher Pake's asking, will this live broadcast be available later? Yes, we will have this live up for free ticket holders for the event through tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And then if you're a VIP pass holder, you will have this to access forever. It will get loaded into your account and you'll have access forever. So I want to answer that for you. Okay. Yes, I agree, Helen. I do feel this is a little bit tougher to work with. I have a feeling the reason that Cricut did these arrangements is they're trying to actually create space to add more tools for us. So I do appreciate that they're trying to innovate and come up with new things. But it's just, like I said, I think it would be really cool if Cricut just did like a once a year update rather than these small micro updates. Make it like a whole rollout party, make it exciting. I think it would be really cool if they did that. That's just my 2 cents on it. Okay, so let's talk about changing the background color. I saw somebody said that in the chat a minute ago. So we talked about the grid. I'm going to change the grid to blank using that little tool. And right on your right-hand side, this is your layers panel, right? And then if you look at the bottom, there is this little background color here. And most people don't know that you can actually click on the white box that is next to it. And when you do that, you're going to get this material. I don't know why it says material colors because it's not material colors. It's background. That must be like an update they need to do. But it's your background color. So you can change this. So if you need contrast, like maybe you're making a bunch of stickers and you have a white offset, but you can't see it because it's white on white, right? And so maybe you want to make it like gray. And now you have contrast. Maybe you want it even to be black so you can get like a lot of contrast, or maybe you, whatever color it is that you need to get contrast for your eyes. I think this is super helpful. And you can completely customize that. So you can just hit this advanced option here if you want to actually customize it specifically, or just pick one of these other colors to do that. And then anytime you want to change that back, you can just come back here and hit white and it'll go back to its original. And even if you change to like a gray, you can still get the grid to appear. So I find that interesting and helpful to be able to kind of play around with what works for you and for your eyes. Okay, let me look here how we're doing. Thank you, Julie. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Susan says, I use the background color a lot when doing shirts so I can get the idea of what it will look like when done. Yes, absolutely. Yes, Pamela's saying she didn't know she could change the background color. Yay! Okay. All right. So let's move on to our next point. Our next one is, made it down the list. Hang on. Let's talk about maximizing our material cuts for your mat. Okay. So when I say that, let's take an example here. Let me actually I didn't have this one on my list, but not everybody knows this. So I'm going to throw this one in. This one it just landed for me. So I think I'm going to share it. I'm going to get some of these off of my canvas because there's a lot going on and I want to be able to show you guys stuff that's a little more distraction free, but I want to be able to come back to these items again in the future. So I don't want to delete them from my canvas. I just want to hide them. So I'm going to click and drag over this. And if they're not already grouped, you can right click and group. And then look over here in the layers panel. If you hover, there's this little eyeball tool right here. If you click on that, you can hide it. It will not cut out if you go to your cut screen. It will not cut out. Only what's present on your canvas will cut out. So at any point in time, you can hide something, cut something out, come back and unhide it. And it's just a great way to like keep your interface a little more clutter free in the moment. So I'm going to group this, hide. And then I can hide this as well. All right, let's take a look at these little gnomes that we got here. Little Valentine's Day vibes we got going on. Okay, so let's say these are stickers. These are print and cut. You can see that in the layers panel. It says print and cut over here. It's telling us the operation. And let's say we want to make an additional set of them. Okay, so I'm gonna click and drag over this, and I'm gonna right click and duplicate. And then I'll bring it down here like so, okay? Now, maybe I'm like, okay, I have my 2 sets. I'm ready to cut this out. Let's click make. Notice here that Design Space is trying to be super helpful, and it is putting 4 of these guys onto this mat, and then it's putting 2 more little guys on this mat. And we'd have to print out 2 different sheets from our printer and then load it onto our cutting machine, and it would cut these little gnomes out. But I can feel pretty confident looking at this. I should be able to fit 2 more of these on here. Like, that's a whole lot of material waste going on, right? So I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to come back to the canvas here, and I'm going to click and drag over all of them together, okay? And I am going to use the attach tool. Now, there's 2 places currently the attach tool is available. The attach tool is available now floating on this little icon bar here. It's also still at the bottom of the layers panel right now. And you can also access a lot of these tools by right-clicking, which I find, fun tip, if you're easily confused by some of these changes that come into Design Space, always go back to right-clicking, because this menu almost never changes. Like, very, very rarely have I seen this change. And if it does change, I just see something added to it, nothing taken away or rearranged. So you can also access the attach tool from here. It's just literally a function. So lots of ways to get to the same thing. But let's hit attach. And if you notice now, there's no errors popping up here saying that this is too big or anything like that. So now if I go to make, it's rotated it, but it's all on one mat. So I personally find that the attach tool is the most used tool in all of Design Space, because not only can you use it like this to save space and material waste, but you can use it for things like text, like attaching text to things, score lines to things, all that kind of stuff. Your attach tool holds the placement of one object relative to another. So if you ever experiencing things shifting, if you're ever experiencing like a score line shifting off of your card or anything like that, the attach tool is what you need. And this is just one example of its use. Okay, let me take a look here in our chat. Yes, attach is so important. All right. Grandma Sue says it's also helpful to quickly find the hidden file by renaming the group. Yes, it is. That's such a great tip. Let me actually put that in here. Grandma Sue, look at my mom's name is Sue. I don't know if it's you, Mom, but if it's not you, you and my mom have the same name. And I think if that's your birth year, you have the same birth year too, which is kind of ironic. So I was just noticing that. But let me show you that. For example, when we attach something, we can detach at any time. So we can right click and detach. We can use this tool here to detach. All of that is possible. So we could take attach, and you'll see that it now renames it to attach. You can see these are our hidden groups here. But at any point in time, we can come over to our layers panel here, and we can right click and we can rename. So maybe I want to name this gnomes. And now I can actually name and organize in the layers panel. Isn't that so cool? And you can actually reorder here too. So like if you ever want to click, hold, and drag and reorder, you can just do that here in the layers panel. That one just landed for me too. I was like, oh, let's show them that. So thank you for bringing that up. I absolutely love doing that too. I don't do it very often. I'll tell you that I'm kind of a little, I don't know if lazy is the word, but I just kind of like make it up as I go along, and I generally don't. But for those of you who are super organized, rename your layers. It's very, very helpful. Okay. Does Cricut notify us of changes, or do we have to accidentally find out from other demonstrators like you? So typically, this was Barbara's question. Typically, what I have seen is Cricut will do release reports. So they'll do like release updates on their website. You have to go look for them. So they are there, but it's not like, here, let me send you a notification. To my understanding, I could be incorrect. I have not seen any like super obvious send notifications to users. But you can go to their main site, and in their like help and documentation, you can usually find like a release notes, and it'll chronologue all of the changes. Sometimes they give imagery attached to those changes so you can visually see it as well, like what's actually new or what's coming. Um, and they will sometimes do live streams on their channel if they're significant new tools. So like when they came out with offset, sticker, and warp, those came out not too far apart from each other. I think warp came out differently, but those, they did like a live stream on their Facebook page for that. So you can find out about it that way, or you can just follow a bunch of different creators, and then through one of us, you will figure it out and you will know, which I think is what a lot of people do. Or you get stuck in the, oh, this looks new. What is this? They also have help here, so you can use the help, which I think is helpful. That being said, the hardest thing with learning, I think, crafting DIY and Cricut, this is a general thing. I don't think this just applies to Cricut. Sometimes when you're starting something, you don't actually know what questions to ask. Like, that's one of the reasons I'm passionate about being a DIYer and teaching other people DIY, even if it's not just Cricut related, which is something we're really wanting to lean into, is like other facets of DIY. It's like, you are inspired by an idea, but you don't know what questions to ask to get to the end goal of that idea. And so the help is helpful if you know what questions to ask. But one could argue, if you don't know what questions to ask, like if you know the questions to ask, then you probably know what you're doing already, or you have an idea. Okay. So that's my deep insight on it. Okay. Okay. We have some questions here. Let me read through these. When you go to print this, is it going to cut them separately, each gnome, or the three I love yous together because they are attached now? Oh, this is a good question. Okay, so let's use our fancy trick here of the background color. I'm going to change this to a dark gray. And let's get rid of the grid. So let me see if I can find your name. Apologies. Wendy. What Wendy is asking me here, she's saying, is it, now that it's attached, is it going to cut this like all as one, let's say, sticker per se, or is it going to be individual? So the attach tool is only holding the placement. It's not changing the fact that everywhere you see this gray coming through, that is where it's going to cut around. So it's going to cut around the hat and the beard and the footy. It's going to cut each individual little gnome around itself. So everywhere that the gray is coming through, it's cutting around that shape. Now, if we were to do something like use the offset, let's do that for fun since you're asking. I don't actually know if this is going to work, but let's give it a try. If we were to use the offset tool here, and let's say I were to crank this up. Don't worry about what I'm doing right now. I just want to demonstrate an example. If I were to crank up an offset and I were to change this to like white, okay, and then I were to flatten all of this together as one printable, now this would cut as one thing because you can see how there's that whole background attaching it together, okay? Or if we were to put like a shape behind it and do what I just did. It's also too big now. See how we got this little exclamation point over here? It's telling us this is too big. So if that happens to you, you can just hit this auto resize, which I find helpful if you're willing to adjust, and it will resize it to the maximum size that it can print. So that was a really good clarifying question. So in this case, now it would cut as one piece, but before it was only going to cut each individual little guy. It's just holding the placement of them so that it's not shifting on the cut screen. Okay, let's move down here. How do you prevent the image from changing to all the same color instead of keeping the original colors of the image when you attach? Okay, I think I understand this. So let's take this back to white here. So the reason that, let me bring in one of my examples here. We'll use this. So when we're using the attach tool, anytime we do that, anything that you attach to the other item is going to change and be the same color unless it is a print then cut. So this is print then cut. These are all flattened colors together. You will use your inkjet printer with your cutting machine for this. This, however, in the case of what you're describing, this is an SVG file that is in layers. So we look at the group here. These are individual layers making up what you're seeing on the screen. If I were to click on this and then hit the attach tool, it's going to change to all one color because it's all one group. They're all layered together as basic cut operations. So see the basic cut we have up here? This means you're building it from paper, vinyl, iron-on. You're building it from those materials. Whereas this is getting printed out in ink from a printer. Okay. And so let's say, for example, let me undo this. Even when I detached it, see, it didn't go back to the way it was. That's frustrating. Let's undo this. Okay. So let's say, for example, that I want to just attach the where you're to the other orange. Okay. First, you need to make sure this is ungrouped before you start doing attaching. That's one thing to be aware of. So if I'm going to right click, I'm going to ungroup. Okay. And this is a little off center. It's bothering me, but that's okay. I want to attach this where you're the light orange to the darker orange and just make it all one piece. Therefore, it will be all one color. So I'm going over in the layers panel, hold down your shift key, select one, then holding your shift key, select the other, okay? And then use that attach tool. So it's going to change it to that same color. It's all going to be attached together. I personally wouldn't do it this way on this particular file. I just wanted to demonstrate kind of like a compare and a contrast. But yes, if you attach objects together, if they are basic cut operation, not print and cut, it will make them one color. So that's a really good question. Okay. Tanya says, I had trouble with what I thought was going to cut together on the mat. It was separated, was not grouped, attached. You're confused about layering in groups. Okay, so groups and attached are two different things. So I'll just go over kind of this in contrast really quickly and we'll go on to our next tip. When something is grouped, this is a layered SVG. It is a basic cut operation, okay? When something is grouped, it's going to say group over here in the layers panel. This means that there are layers underneath it. At any point in time, you can ungroup this and move them individually. Right click, ungroup, move them around, okay? This is helpful if you want to be able to select one of these layers and play with changing the color, okay? Maybe you want to be able to experiment with what this would look like if you were using brown vinyl with it or whatever, okay? Another reason to use group is when you're scaling. So if I click and drag back over this, and is it still in a group format? Yes, it is. Or no, it's not. It's ungrouped right now. I can regroup it, okay? And if I wanted to scale this, I would scale it as a group. So everything scales proportionally, right? Because if we ungroup this, and I come in here and I'm like, well, let me just select this one and I'll scale. And well, now everything is disproportional, right? So that's really the purpose of group, is to be able to move things around or move things in your layers panel as one collective piece. It's just a functionality. Think of it as like a transportation tool, so to speak. Whereas with attach is actually holding the placement on the cut screen. So this right here is grouped. But when I go to hit make, even though it's grouped, it's going to separate it out by color. It's going to separate it out by color, even though it's grouped. If I hit attach, it's going to make it all one color, and it's all going to be together. That's the difference, okay? Attach is for holding placement relative to other objects. Grouping is for scaling and moving things around or consolidating groups in your layers panel. I hope that helps. All right, let me take a quick peek, and then we're going to go on to our next tip here. Yeah, and guys, if this is a lot of information, I know it is. Again, there'll be a replay. Don't worry about it. Please don't get frustrated with yourself and give up. I hear it all the time. I can't do this. I'm not techie enough. I'm not smart enough. I hear it all the time. My friend, you are. You just learn at a different pace. That's okay. You can rewatch the video. You can take notes. You can come back to it. You can pause. You can practice in your own time. I promise you, you can do it. My 72-year-old mama's doing it, and she can do it. And I've watched tens of thousands, actually close to 1 million now, of people in my community who have done this. I promise you, you can do it. I am of the belief system that if you say you can, you're right. If you say you can't, you're right. So let me be your conduit of belief for a moment and say, you can, it's okay. Take a deep breath, focus on one thing. One thing. I just want to understand group a little better today. Cool. Just focus on group. Just focus on group. Okay. One domino at a time. Okay. All right. So let's go into, Wendy's also asking, is it easier to use this on a computer versus an iPad? Yes. I think iPads are great, but I strongly advocate for using a computer. What you can do with your keyboard, your mouse clicks, all of that kind of stuff, it's just better. That's my opinion. Just my opinion. And at this time, there is no beta mode on iPad, which means if you run into some of these software bugs, you're stuck in one mode, whereas you can go back and forth from live to beta mode. Okay. Alrighty, let me move on to my next tip here. Okay, this one's gonna get fun. Hold on to it, you guys, because it's gonna get fun for a minute. I'm probably gonna blow some of y'all's minds a little bit. How many of you like to use fonts in Design Space? And how many of you know what character fonts are, or character glyphs, dingbats, flourishes? Let me know if any of that rings a bell in the comments. And if you're brand new, this is going to be like whoosh of information. It's okay. I just want to share it because it's one of my favorite tips to share. Let me know in the chat. Okay, so here's what I'm going to show you guys. There is this really cool, let me come over to my screen here, app. You guys may have heard of Creative Fabrica. They're one of our sponsors for Craft Fest, and they have a lot of fonts and graphics. They have this really cool application called Font Cloud. Okay. It's fontcloud.creativefabrica.com. And this is really fun because when you download fonts to use with Cricut, you can download fonts to your computer, you can install them on your computer, and then they will show up in Cricut, and I'll walk you through that in a minute. You can also use this Font Cloud to find specialty characters, flourishes, dingbats, all those things to pair with your fonts. So first, if you're wanting to know, like, well, where do I find cool fonts? Creative Fabrica is my go-to spot for this. So if you go to Creative Fabrica and you look at fonts, script fonts, display fonts, dingbat fonts, color fonts, like so many different fonts. Okay, go have fun, get some fonts, and you can easily install fonts on your computer. It's a very simple process. I will link, Mike, can you go to the blog and can you just drop into the chat the font installation post if anybody's like, I'm not sure how to install a font. It's very, very simple, but we have a tutorial on that. So let's say you install a font on your computer, okay? I want you to then drag and drop that font file here in Font Cloud. Just go create an account, fontcloud.creativefabrica.com, and drag and drop the font file here as well. And it'll load up. You'll see all your fonts on this left-hand side. If I click on the logo, it'll take me to, let's see. Here we go. This is the home page of Font Cloud. And when you've loaded your fonts in here, you have to actually add them to Font Cloud. But when you've done that, you can actually preview all of your fonts at once. Now, Cricut does this too. They updated this recently, and Cricut also allows you to preview your fonts. But what I love about this is when you have specialty characters that are paired with these fonts, you can find them in Font Cloud and bring them into Design Space. So let's walk through this. I need to find a font real quick that has some. I like this Cherry Cordial font. Oops. There we go. Okay, so this is called Cherry Cordial. And if you look here, you see all of the letters, right? Okay, we don't really need those. Those are included in the font file. But if you scroll down in this file, look at these specialty characters. There's these little flourishes that you can add to the end. There's like these different, like this Y here has a little loop-de-loop on the end of it. Some of these letters that are going like one letter running into the other, it's the ligatures on it are like much prettier. So there's all these different characters of things that you can add to your font in Design Space. But Design Space at this time, to my knowledge, and if someone knows differently, please correct me, does not let you access these specialty characters. So using the font cloud can let you access them. So let's walk through this in Design Space and then how I would bring these in. And then I will check for questions. So don't worry. I know this is probably like cool trick. And I'm also overwhelmed. So give me just a minute. Let me actually group this together and hide it. Okay. So back in Design Space here, let's take our text tool. I'm going to click on the text tool. And we got our text that appears, right? We can click off, can scale this up, click, hold, and drag. Okay. Double click inside to be able to edit your text. Let's just do the word happy. Okay. So this is defaulting to like the Cricut Sans, but up here, I want to click on it. And then our font panel is going to open. And if you look at the top of the font panel, you see the word Cricut, you see the word system. System is where the fonts you download and install are going to live. So if you decide to go download a font, go to system. And once you do that, you need to download the font, you need to close out Design Space and reopen it. Once you do that, your font will appear under system. I'm going to type in the word cherry to find cherry cordial. There's my font. Okay. So I'm going to change it to the font we were just talking about over in Font Cloud. Cool. Now we've got that in the cherry cordial font. Now here's the thing. See the Y right here? See how it's like cut off? It's just nice little, one little loop like that. Come back over here. See how this Y looks different? See how there's like these little flourishes here that we could add to the end? We can copy in these additional, I'm just going to call them glyphs for lack of a better phrase. We can copy them into Design Space. So you're going to pick whichever one you want. In my case, it's the Y. Click it. And then it's going to say character copied to clipboard up here at the top. Do it again. Character copied to clipboard. Come over to Design Space. We've already typed out our word. We've already changed the font to the corresponding font. You must change it to the corresponding font. So you can see we've got cherry cordial selected here. You're going to double click inside and you're going to either highlight or just in my case, I could backspace and paste this in. So that's Command V on my keyboard, Control V if you're on a PC, or you could right click and nope, it's not going to let me. So we're going to use the keyboard shorthand, Command V, Control V if you're on a PC. So now we were able to change that Y to this really pretty little flourish on the end of it because we used Font Cloud and because there were additional characters there that were not available here in Design Space. So let me show it one more time here. Let's add, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's play with it and see what happens. I'm going to take a gander and try this one and see if I can connect it. I just clicked on it so that it would copy and double clicking inside. My cursor's blinking right there at the beginning. I don't know how this is going to look, you guys. Okay, so obviously that's off. That's not really connecting very well, but let's pretend that's perfectly aligned. Now we've added this cool flourish in. And because we are using Font Cloud and because we uploaded our fonts here, we can come into each font and we can locate these extra specialty characters and bring them into Design Space. All right, that one was a big one. That one was like, if you've not worked with fonts before, if you're like, I don't even know what specialty character means, let me take a breath and I'll see what questions we have about this before we go on to our next item. Okay. Let's see. Yes, character map. Yes, Sherry, thank you. Yes, you can use character map as well. So if you're on like a Mac or Windows or whatever, and they're called like character maps, you can follow that process absolutely. I have seen, and maybe it's improved since I last used character maps, so I'm saying this with an outdated opinion. I have seen sometimes that character maps don't show everything, despite the fact that that is, in fact, their job. That has been some of my experience in the past, but I haven't used one of those character maps in a very long time, so it may have improved since then. So if you have a character map on your computer already, or you want to see if you have one on your computer and you want to Google if your computer has that, then you might be able to do this without Font Cloud. One of the reasons I like Font Cloud is because you can do all of this additional previewing here. And sometimes I find it, like you can do this in Design Space too. So, I mean, obviously here we can see the previews here. And if that works for you, cool. I like to be able to see, I like to be able to type the whole thing out and then like scroll through here. It takes it a minute to load, but once it loads, I feel like this visually helps my brain a bit more. So it might work fine, like in Design Space, to just go through it the way it is there. This I just find visually helps. The other reason that I actually really like this, it takes an extra beat of work, but when you upload all your fonts here so you can see them, this acts as like a backup to your fonts. So if you get a new computer and things don't transfer and you have to start reinstalling all of your fonts to your computer in your system, and you're like, oh, I don't know where I put that. Was it on my desktop? Was it in my downloads? I deleted it. I don't know where it is. Like all of that. You can come in here and you can reinstall your fonts. You can literally re-download them and reinstall all of them. And it acts as like a backup. So yes, character maps definitely can do that. And I think there's just some benefits to this as well. Okay. Let me catch up with some of these comments. No, you don't download Font Cloud. It's just a web-based application that you use on your browser. So you create an account with Creative Fabrica and then just go to fontcloud.creativefabrica.com and you'll be able to use this. Currently, I believe it is free up to X amount of storage, and then they might have you go further if you need more storage, I believe. Okay. Okay, awesome. Is there a max of how much you can store in Font Cloud? I think it's just based on your gigabytes. So like you can get more storage if you need it. I've been using this for years. I have dozens of fonts in here. I've never run out of space. So, okay, let's go on to our next one. Staying on the topic of fonts, let's talk about making fonts bolder. Okay. So have you ever found a font that you like in Design Space or a font that you've installed on your computer and you've been like, I really wish that I can make that a little thicker because it's not cutting well with paper or it's not cutting well with vinyl. It's tearing, right? So let's type out, just going to type out a new word. I guess I could have just edited the existing one. Let's do happy again. And I'm going to change the font here. Let's look for like a skinny one. I have this one pretty one here. Let's call this like this Recton font. Okay, so this one's really pretty. This is an installed font that I found. I think I got it on Creative Fabrica. And I really like this font, but depending on the size that I cut this, and even at a bigger size, it's kind of got some thin areas to it, right? And so as a result, you might experience tearing. It might be really delicate if you're cutting it with paper and then you're trying to lift it up and it rips on you. Like anybody have your stuff rip when you take it off the mat? So it would benefit from thickening the font, right? So how I do this is I use the offset tool. So type your font out, or I should type your text. I keep saying font. Type your text out, then choose your font, okay? And then I want you to select it and you're gonna click edit, okay? And then you're going to look for the offset tool, okay? You're gonna click on offset and it's gonna give you whatever your last default setting was. Mine was really large in our previous example. It's probably gonna default to like 0.25 as the default. Let me bring this over so we can actually see it. Do that again. Okay. Now I don't want it to thicken that much. That's crazy, right? But let's say we need to thicken it just a tiny bit. So let's try like 0.1 and then type in whatever you want here. So I'm going to do 0.1. I'm going to click in this white space right here, and it's going to give me a preview. So that doesn't look too bad, but I feel like it's a little too thick still. So let's actually try taking this down further. I'm going to do 0.06. Click in this white space, and it's going to update that preview. You can see that thin blue line going around. I feel like that might be a good amount of thickness to add. And so I'm going to click apply. So now we've thickened this font. Now look in your layers panel to your right-hand side. We have our font, our text. Sorry, guys. We have our text. Like, why am I saying font so much? We have our text and we have the offset. They're actually two separate pieces. We don't want them to be separate though. We want them to be all one piece. So click and drag over both of them. And you're going to open that edit tool again. And then you have two options. You can either use weld, and weld is permanent. Once you have saved and closed out your project, it is permanent. You cannot go back. Or you can use unite, which does exactly the same thing as weld, bringing the overlapping cut lines together, except you can undo it. So decide which frame of mind you prefer. It's permanent. It's fine. I don't care. I want to be able to undo this. Pick one. I'm going to pick weld. So I'm going to click weld. And now it has combined those two layers together into one welded result. And it will cut as one piece. We were able to use that font that we liked, but thicken it up a bit so that when it cuts out on, like, say, paper or whatever, it's not going to rip as easy. So that is your next tip. Let me take a quick breath. Angela, yes, I just did that with offset, and there will be a replay up. I promise. There's a question about font cloud. Is font cloud one word or hyphenated? It's here. Mike, can you just drop the font cloud in the chat, or I can do it? And actually, can you do it? It's just fontcloud.creativefabricant.com. There's no hyphen, just this right here at the top in my cursor bar. You guys can see my shopping over here. Wayfair, house moving, like all these tabs open in Abby's brain. Okay. All right. How do you get the letters to color in instead of outline? Okay, so outline only happens if you're trying to change from a basic cut to like a writing font or a drawing operation where you're using a pen. The case of what I'm using in this example here is a basic cut. Basic cut means I'm going to cut this out and it's going to be cut on a material. So it's cut out like HAPPY is cut in paper, or it's cut in vinyl, or it's cut in iron-on, or it's cut in wood. If we're seeing bubble letters, okay, it probably means the operation has been changed to pen and it looks like this. And then that would mean the pen is going to draw like that. Okay. And with system fonts, we're talking about system fonts here, not Cricut fonts. With system fonts that we install for ourselves, there at this time is no seamless way to make them writing style fonts, authentic handwriting style fonts that do not have the outline feature. The only way around that is if you get a super skinny font that you install and then it kind of looks like one line. That's pretty much the only like conclusive way to do that at this time. And that's just software limitations right now. Hopefully that will improve in the future. But if you want to use true writing fonts, you would need to change, writing text. Gosh, guys, I'm sorry. If you want to actually have your text look like it's written, like with a hand, then you're going to need to use Cricut fonts up here. Select Cricut under the font menu, click the filter, and then select writing. And then click off in the white space. And if you're like, well, I'm not an Access subscriber, so how do I enjoy the benefit of this? So in your filter, just click free, click in the white space, and these are your writing style fonts. So let's take an example. I'll click this one. Okay. And then over here, it says writing. Why is it not showing up like that? Oh, because we're on basic cut. Basic cut, change basic cut to pen. And then why is this saying writing font? It's not a writing font. Huh. Okay, let's try a different one. There we go. I don't think they had that labeled correctly. What are the odds I picked that one? Here we go. Okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. So if you select a font that is actually a writing font, it will look like this. So this is a true writing font. It's going to write with a pen, one tip, one stroke. Whereas this here, the stroke is like the outline around it. So there's nothing wrong with this if you want to use it. If you're really loving that font, it's totally fine. But you would want to filter by the actual writing style fonts that are owned by Cricut, and that's just software limitations at this time. Okay. All right. Let me go back and see what our next one is. Okay, let's talk about changing designs with the contour feature. Okay. I hope you guys are finding this helpful. Let me delete this, and I'm going to bring back this here. Actually, I'm going to bring back both of these. Here we go. All right, let me ungroup, right click, ungroup. This is also in a group, so I'm going to right click and ungroup again. There can be groups within groups. Okay, so let's talk about the contour feature next. The contour feature is really helpful because if you ever want to eliminate certain pieces from a design, then it's a one-click operation to do that. Let me clarify that this is only possible with basic cut, okay? I can't eliminate pieces here with a print and cut. So please know that this does not apply to print and cut. Let's click on this one here, the where your, and it has the little like cutouts of the, here, has the little cutouts of the flowers in the middle, right? Let's say for whatever reason, I'm designing this and I'm like, I like the words, I want the words in there, but I actually don't want the little flower centers. I want my t-shirt to show through that, right? Like I want it to be so that the t-shirt fabric is poking through this. Okay, let's say that's the case. Then we can click on this one layer. So I just have one layer selected here. It's not a group, one layer. Click on edit, click on contour, and then you can select which objects you wish to hide. Okay, so you can hover over these and click one by one. And you got to let it like sometimes give it a minute, like let it register that your mouse is on top of it and then click it. Okay. Like that. And then hit apply. Now we've removed all those little flower centers, but the words are still there. And then at any point in time, you can click on that same layer, come back to contour, and you can bring them back. The easiest way to bring them back, if you've removed a lot of things like I just did, is just to click this hide all contours and then to click show all contours, and it brings it all back. So hide all, show all, it brings it back. Hit apply, and it comes back to life. So that's a really fun way to be able to make some simplistic edits to designs if you want to eliminate certain pieces and be able to break things down a bit more. Again, this works with basic cut and these layers. It does not work with print and cut. Okay. All right. Let me take a look here. Yes. Okay. Isabel asks, would that apply to print and cut if you don't want to cut everything? Oops, sorry. No. So, I mean, if you would have to have basic cut, Isabel, so it would not work with print and cut. So, like this is a print and cut here. And if I click on that and I click edit, like contour is not even available because it doesn't work with anything that's print and cut. So I hope that clarifies. Okay. All right, let me see what else we got in store. I think we have a couple of more here for you guys. Let's talk about, next, let's talk about, well, it was formerly known as the color sync tool, but it is now known as material colors. So over here in the layers panel to your right-hand side, we have material colors, okay? And it used to be known as color sync. If you click on this, this is a super helpful way to combine similar colors together so that when you go to cut this out on your cut screen, you go to your cut screen and you go to cut it out. If you have like 2 shades of yellow, like we do here, that are really close together and you're like, do I really need to cut 2 different shades of yellow? If you're okay with it, no, you don't need to cut 2 different shades of yellow. Go ahead and just like combine them together. But the easiest way to do that is with material sync tools here. So let me zoom out real quick and get rid of this. I'm going to group it, hide it, and zoom back in here. Okay. All right. So go ahead and click on an object. For example, this one here, and this one is group. So I'm going to ungroup it. Actually, you don't have to ungroup. I don't know why I'm thinking about that in my head. You don't have to ungroup to use material. Erase that and backtrack. Come back over to material colors, and it's going to show every color on your canvas. We've got a lighter yellow, a darker orangey yellow, and then we've got these shades of coral pink, right? And so you can see all of them present over here. And we can see this darker orangey yellow and the lighter yellow, they're very similar. And so maybe I only have like one orangey yellow on hand. I'm going to, you can click and drag one layer into the other and it will combine it automatically. So I'm going to click this bottom one here. It says Boho Rainbow 3. I'm going to click it and move it up, holding and dragging, and dump it under this one. And now we've combined that together. And maybe for whatever reason, perhaps I want the word be kind to also be that orangish yellow color. I'm going to call it orange, that orange color. We can see that that one is present here. The be kind is present right here. And so I could click on that, drag it down, and then combine that there. And now I have 4 layers. I've easily been able to drag and drop in between these different colors to change what I see on the canvas here that's represented for my material, or to be able to combine similar colors to cut down on the number of mats you're going to need to cut. You know, and you could do this for other things too. So like, obviously this is kind of pretty with the different, maybe you only have 2 colors available to you for this project. You can click on these little arrows to reveal. Maybe we only have 2 colors to work with, right? And that's all that's available to us right now, but we want to make this project. We could just click and drag them in there and just work with 2 colors. So that's the beauty of material colors, formerly known as Color Sync tool, which I think Color Sync was actually a better description of it, but that's just my opinion. Okay. Yes, such a great way to cut down on the number of material colors. Absolutely. Okay, so let me look at my last couple of ones that I've got for you guys here. Let's talk about, this one's a fancy one too, okay? Let's talk about, I'll go back to my layers and bring my picture back here. I'm gonna hide this. Let's talk about clipping a photo or a seamless pattern, anything that might be like a printable, clipping that image into a shape like this. So this was a photograph from my phone of my mom and me. We went strawberry picking, and there's a farm near us where they do blueberries, strawberries, sunflowers, vegetables, all the things. And this was a photo we took in the sunflower field after we went strawberry picking. And I really wanted to clip it inside of a heart because I wanted it to print out as a heart. Maybe I'm putting it on sticker paper, and I actually wanted to print the picture as a heart with the image inside of the heart, and I'll use it as like a sticker or something. You could use it for something else if you don't want to do it as a sticker. But how did I get the image in there like that? Okay, so there are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to quickly demonstrate the first way. And the reason I'm saying quickly is because I don't like the first way, even though it's the traditional path. And then I'm going to show you my way, which is what I believe to be the easier way. So how I would do this is, let me zoom out here. See how it's like messing up there? You see that? Okay. Fun fact for you. This is just a bug. This is just, it's not actually going to print that way, but like this is just Design Space being its fun little self. If this happens to you and you're like, oh, well, I don't want to look at it like that, hit save. Okay. This is an extra little bonus tip for you. Hit save on your project. Make sure it's saved. Come up to view at the top. Click force reload. Give it a minute to catch up. And we saved our project and it fixed it. We force reloaded the page, and it kind of helped its brain, Design Space's brain, unscrambled a little bit. But make sure you've hit save on your project before you do that. Okay. And it might do it again. We'll find out. But just wanted to show you that extra bit. Okay. So here's one way you can do this. This is the traditional path. Come to your shapes tool over here on the left-hand side. This is your design panel. Look for shapes. I'm going to add the heart. I'm going to close the panel. I'm going to click, hold, and drag and scale this up. Okay. And then we're going to go to the upload button that is in your design panel on the left-hand side. Okay. Usually we upload images here. Look up here. It says image, upload image. Look over here slightly more to the right. It says pattern fill. Click pattern fill and you can upload a pattern. So this can be a seamless pattern. It can be anything that's an image. It just can't be an SVG, but it can be anything that is an image. So look for something that's like a PNG or a JPEG, something that would come off of your phone. That's a photograph. Okay. So I'm going to hit upload pattern and I'm going to drag my image here. Here is my photo. I'm going to drag and drop it. It's going to give me this preview. I'm just going to hit upload at the bottom. Okay. It's going to dump us back here and it's going to say pattern upload successful at the top. Nothing is going to appear here. Ignore this. This is not what we just uploaded. This was my practice round. It's not actually there. Ignore it. It's not there. It's not present here for you to go. You're going to hit cancel. You're going to come back here and you're going to go up to the basic cut operation with your heart selected. Click basic cut. Come down to print, then cut. Click on the black swatch or whatever color is present for you. Click on print type. Click on pattern. Your pattern will appear here. And in my case, my pattern is my picture. You can see other pictures I have here of my kids and my husband. These are seamless patterns that I uploaded. Here's my puppy dog. Let's bring my puppy dog in. Here, we'll use the puppy dog as an example since we already have the other one over there. I'm going to click on Miss Liberty. Okay. And then you're going to see it change here on your canvas. I'm going to click off. Notice how it is completely incorrect. If we want to fix that, we have to click back on this and go back up to this little swatch that's next to print and cut. And you have to click on edit pattern. And then you get to play with this structure. And this is, again, this is the way I do not recommend. I'm teaching this because if I don't, somebody's going to be like, that's the way you're supposed to do it. Actually, I have a faster way, but I want you to know this is here. The reason I don't currently use this is because I found that it's just been very glitchy right now. There has been times in the past that it is a lot more nice and it does work well. So you would play with the scale here. For example, I would scale this up maybe to like 130, type it in, click off in this white space. Then I would start to move this horizontally and vertically. Let's move that a little bit more. Oops. Nope. See how much it's not playing nice for us right now. So I think you guys get the gist of why I don't like to use this one. That being said, let's see. When it is working, it is nice. But if you're able to get it seated correctly in there, you can just then close this out and you'll see the result here. Now, that's one way to do it. Let me show you my faster way. Grab your shapes tool, click on your heart, just like we did before, scale this up. Come back to your upload. This time, you're going to upload a normal image. You're not going to go to pattern fill. So upload your normal image directly to your normal upload button. Click continue, apply and continue, select flat graphic, click continue at the bottom, click upload, just follow the yellow brick road, in this case, the green buttons, and it'll drop into Design Space. So unlike what we just did a minute ago, where we were living up here, right? This is actually getting dropped into Design Space because we followed our normal upload process. Then what I do is I bring this down here and I bring my heart in. And right now this is sitting behind it. See that? So use your arrange tool and bring it to the front. Okay. And then I will position this over the top of what I want to slice out. Okay. So this might take some trial and error because if you don't get it like positioned just right, you might need to go back and undo and then just redo it again. I still find this to save loads of time compared to all the other steps of the other one and the glitchiness of the current pattern interface. So I have this heart sitting on top, and I feel like I probably have it centered about as well as it can be on our faces for my current perspective. I'm going to click and drag over both of them. I got the heart selected and I got the image selected. I'm going to come up to that edit tool again on the top left-hand side, and we're going to locate the slice option here that lives with the tools. So we'll click slice. Okay. Close that panel out. And then pull these pieces apart. We've got our heart. And we got us. And that one turned out pretty good. I can make adjustments if I wanted to. If you wanted to make adjustments, just hit your back button here, your undo at the top. Okay, just take it back to its original state. And then like make an adjustment if you'd like, oh, I need to go to the right or the left. And then just do it again. Click and drag, slice, pull it apart. Yay. Now we have that. Also, I'm convinced that this one up here actually stretches the features. Like the dog's face is a bit distorted compared to what the original photo looks like, if you could see the original photo. So that's why I don't use that one, even though it's cool. This is just my faster, easier way. Okay, let me look in the comments real quick. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good thought. You could change it to a guide if you wanted to see through it temporarily. Let's try that. That's really good. I love that. Oops, let's go back. Okay, I took it back to its original state here. So we had, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your username. We had a person in the comments who said, use the guide feature. So if you want to position it correctly, change this to guide at the bottom under operations, and then you could get it positioned the way you want. Okay. And then change it back to basic and then slice. Like that. Yeah, I love that tip. Thank you. That was like such an obvious thing, and I didn't think to teach that. Thank you for saying that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, change it to a guide. So a guide is just simply, it is a means of being able to scale things to a certain size. You can see through things, and it doesn't cut out. A guide never cuts out. It's not for drawing. It's not for scoring. It's not cutting. It's literally there just to help you scale, position things and be able to like get your designs the way you want them to look at a particular scale or particular size or particular rotation or position. And then the guide automatically disappears when you go to cut out. So that's what a guide is. But I love that tip that you just gave. Thank you so much. Okay. Alrighty, my friends. Let me go through and see if we have any other comments to your questions to answer. If I did forget to answer your question, it was not intentional. Please know that. You can, of course, reach out to us if you have questions or leave a comment if you're watching this later. Looks like we got a lot. Yes, I do like the slice method a lot better too, Cheryl. It's just, yeah. And like I said, guys, if I'm seeing one or two people here saying that you're really overwhelmed, again, it's a lot of information. You're drinking from a fire hose right now. I'm literally giving you a bucket of information. I slapped the Cricut encyclopedia down in front of you. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay. You're not meant to understand all of this in real time. You're meant to observe it. You're meant to get excited. And then you're meant to come back and practice one skill at a time. And that's how you're going to integrate those skills for yourself. Okay. So I don't want you to feel like you can't do this or that it's not possible for you or anything like that. These are all just skills to come back to. So let me come back to life here on the screen in real time. Hi. All right. So I just want to remind everybody that we are, hang on one moment, please. We are going to have this live replay up. These are all of our tips for the day. This live replay is going to be up until tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for all of our VIP pass holders, you will get access to this replay indefinitely, lifetime access in your account. We will have it loaded in there by tomorrow for you. So you can come back And if you have not grabbed your VIP pass yet, please make sure you do so. There's a link below for you and going across the screen now. The pass price increases and it will disappear when the event ends. So please make sure you don't wait. We've got over 6,100 pass holders from this year's event. So they are loving it. I know a lot of you are here with me right now. Okay, so we had a question about the giveaway page. So giveaways is abbykirstenscraftfest.com/giveaways. Yes, Janice says, so glad I have the VIP and can watch it over and over again. Oh, we had a question about how to cut the picture. So the picture, you would just send that to cut, just click make, and it's a printable. So you're going to print it through your inkjet printer, and then you're going to put it onto the Cricut mat, and it's going to cut the heart for you. So yeah, that's the print and cut process. Print and cut. All right, it looks like you guys found this really helpful. I'm so glad you did. This has been a lot of fun for me to share with you guys. Thank you for joining me today. We've got 3 more days of Cricut Craft Fest to go. Keep an eye on your inbox. New workshops will drop tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys for spending time with me. Question here about, do I recommend taking the subscription to Design Space? So here's the deal. I have a subscription to Design Space, the Cricut Access subscription. You can use Design Space without the Access subscription. I have it because I like the freedom to play with all the features to teach people. That being said, I always teach from the perspective that you do not have to have a subscription because I like freedom and optionality. So I teach people how to either source files for themselves to bring in, like image files or fonts. And I also teach people how to design their own SVG files so they have that freedom for themselves. We're actually hosting a workshop. I'm hosting a workshop on that next week after the Craft Fest ends. So if you're interested, keep an eye out on your inbox for our emails. I will send that workshop out as well if you're interested in leveling up, and that is for you. Okay, thank you guys for spending time with me today. I really appreciate you, and let's have a great next 3 days. Remember to visit the Facebook group if you're on Facebook and be able to post your projects in there, or send us an email to hello@abbykirstencollections.com if you need any additional support. We are happy to help you. Okay, my friends. Thank you guys so much. I will see you next time. Bye.